Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, welcome to the Q&A online sessions at the Cipriani College of Labor and Cooperative Studies. Today, we are going to focus on human resource management, and indeed, it is my pleasure to be here and engage with you all. And of course, my name is Melissa Bridgewater, and I am the Program Dean for Human Resource Management. So, let's talk about it a little bit in terms of HR and who we are. But of course, I would like to start sharing my presentation. So if you would just kindly indulge me, thank you. Thank you so much for your patience. So of course, in terms of it, as I said, I am Melissa Bridgewater, the Program Dean, and this is my email address. And we're going to focus some more in terms of human resource management and overview at the Cipriani College of Labor and Cooperative Studies, the program levels. So first, let's talk about why HR. People in this field can help to change lives. And it's such a great responsibility, and it's such a great opportunity and experience when you can help people do better and become better and want to develop themselves even more. Sometimes you are able, because of your abilities and so forth in terms of HR, are able to recognize that some people are gifted or talented in a particular area that they may not be in. And you can give them that push forward to help. You can help to guide and mentor and so. And many times you would find that people say, hey, I remember my HR manager who assisted me with this. Or I remember someone who was in HR who helped this way. I had a situation, I had a challenging period, and I was able to be assisted and helped in such a way that I have become better. I have become a better individual. I continue to work well within the workforce, and so people will be a power of influence because, as you say, in terms of these opportunities and experiences, you are able to say, hey, and the thing about it is, unfortunately, in terms of some of our areas and spheres that we are in now, in terms of society, sometimes people have a power of influence, and unfortunately, they use it to the detriment of others. But in HR, you have to be so mindful that with that power of influence, you have a level of responsibility because you have to remember that you are an advocate not only for the employer, but you are also an advocate for the employee. So, in terms of things that are happening, if you see that there is a change needed or something that is happening in the organization that you have to get through and work on, you have to be that guide. You have to be able to have that power of influence and not use it negatively. You'll have a different workday every day. So one day you may start in terms of working in terms of compensation and trying to work on, things for negotiations. An hour later, you may get a call and saying, okay, We need this training plan in terms of the talent management. How are you doing about this? Another day you may have strategic management, and you're thinking about it. So HR is always making you on your feet, because you have to use different facets and different applications and be able to critically analyze and apply. You help with continuous improvement, and not only from a continuous improvement from a personal perspective on a professional, but from a professional perspective within the organization. And also, many times within the sphere of HR, you have that continuous improvement not only from within the organization, but with regards to society and the impact that, certain choices and certain things that the organization may lend to would help with continuous improvement to the society. So, you know, we are watching now as we see, look, Olympics have happened. We're looking at certain people are saying, well, all right, in terms of corporate HR, corporate organization, sorry, what can they do? And sometimes in terms of that continuous improvement facet, HR would be able to facilitate and assist, because if you notice now, we have so many things going on in terms of the sustainable development goals. And those areas, 17 areas, and you look at them, and they can lend to further improvement, not only within an organization, but within society. So within that sphere, HR persons who are interested in this field would be making a great effort and a great focus in making people better. And you have to be innovative. Sometimes many organizations may be only focused on the bottom line, but you have to be mindful that, hey, I am able to justify this. So I have to be able to look at analytics. I have to be able to provide a business case as to why this is important. Sometimes, unfortunately, we are going through in some organizations where there may be mental health challenges for persons who may not want to share, people who may be burnt out and they don't know how to do it. So then what can you do? And sometimes you, as a practitioner, you have to look now and say, hey, how do I go about trying to get this done? How do I try to not make it seem so obvious, but to get everyone involved for the well-being of not only persons, but within the whole organization? So why the CCLCS HRM department program? A most holistic program in the country in terms of HRM. So when you look at our modules and our courses, many of them focus on different aspects of HR. So for example, compensation management, human behavior in organizations, legal issues in HRM. So some programs touch on that. But we have modules and courses devoted to those things. So it gives persons an opportunity to apply and go through and evaluate and assess what is happening in those areas. We have lecturers who have experience in the field and have your interest at heart. Because of course, because these lecturers have been in different scenarios and worked in different aspects and areas within the workforce and within HR, various positions, you're able to see, well, hey, all right, so you'll excuse me for 1 second, please. All right. Apologies, of course, in terms of this technical difficulty, in terms of the challenges. So kindly indulge me. So as I was guiding, in terms of the most holistic program, right, as I said, in terms of those areas, I was speaking to the lecturers who have experience in the field and have your interest at heart. So of course we know that there are times that persons are concerned. There are some people who are determining, all right, I have not been in a learning environment in a long time. Should I come um, to do a program? Should I come back to go forward with my learning, with upskilling, with developing? And because our lecturers have had the different experiences within the field, within various positions and various sectors, they are able to guide and share and evaluate and assess and even mentor, and that helps you develop even more in terms of where you may be going through within your workplace, what may be happening from that end. And of course, we have your interests at heart. You know, sometimes people may want someone to be a yes person. And I will say we are not necessarily that, because we want to make sure that you understand. We want to make sure that you realize that you have the best talent and ability once you look to apply yourself. So you may find that in terms of our mentorship and guidance, it may seem, hey, not necessarily rough, but different from what you have expected. And but in that realm, it's to make sure that you understand and you are able to assess and analyze and come away better for it. Mhm. Also, we have a memorandum of understanding with the Human Resource Management Association of Trinidad and Tobago. You know, we would have signed that last year, and certainly in terms of it, we were doing formal collaboration. So we wanted to move forward and do it formally. And we have continued to guide and assist each other in terms of developing not only students, but those within, you know, the association. And we are looking forward, of course, to continuing that partnership. So, you know, those who are in the program get that opportunity to experience various persons from Hermat and varying activities. For example, you know, they have their C-suites conversations, and we were fortunate enough to have some of our students participate, you know, listen, sit forward. So, you know, all those things lend to that being better for us. Of course, good afternoon to my colleagues at Hermat. So let's talk a little bit about the program vision. The program vision is to be the program of choice for line managers, working people, and those desirous of having a career and upskilling in the field of HRM. So, of course, we know that you want to be better and working people, because again, you may be in a different realm and you decide you want to be in HR, and nothing is wrong with that. I always tell people, as life happens, things happen. You may be involved in something that may have been scientific, and then you may decide, hey, something has happened to me on a personal level, and I may want to be more involved in terms of HR and those facets. Excuse me, and then vice versa. There may be some people who may be, you know, within that field, and they say, okay, I want to be more than just, you know, I'm not saying that anything is wrong with any person's growth and development, because I always say everyone has a different journey. But we want to make sure that if it is you are coming and you want to be part of that journey, hi, CCLCS is it in terms of the HRM program, making sure that you are getting that guidance and getting that upliftment to move forward within the program. So let's just talk about some of the objectives of the program. Speaking to Major here, To provide persons with the exposure and competencies needed in the field of human resources. So of course, that is necessary and that is very relevant. To produce persons who can think critically, create proactive solutions where necessary, and be able to apply the experience attained to situations within the industry. So we find that, hey, you have to be able to think on your feet. You have to be able to apply certain scenarios, because when the boss says, hey, I need you to do this for me, or I need you to do a training plan, let's work on this. How are you going? How are you researching? What are you thinking of? Sometimes we look in certain workplaces where the organizational culture may not be what people may want. So how do you then try to work with that? We know in terms of change and change management, how does that work and lend as well? So all those things you have to be able to say, okay, if I'm doing this, how can this then impact and affect, and work to the betterment of? So therefore, these objectives will lend to that. In addition, we have to produce students who recognize and apply the need for integrity and confidentiality within the profession. We realize more and more how important integrity and confidentiality is. And because we have, as I indicated earlier, a power, you can have influence, you can have an opportunity to change lives. You have a lot of information that is in your hands that, you know, may be private based on whom and where and what is happening. So it's not a nice thing when you may hear that, because employees have said that sometimes, where my business is out on the road. And as a result, it creates a sense of distrust. It creates a sense of, you know, demotivation, because you're saying, well, hey, if I'm supposed to trust you and you all are supposed to be my guide and confidant, as I'm going through certain issues or scenarios within the workforce and personally, your students have to be aware of that they are valued because of that, in terms of maintaining that integrity, in terms of maintaining confidentiality. So extremely important. And then, of course, to create individuals in the HR profession that are strengthened by complementing courses in labor and cooperative studies. So when I spoke to the most holistic program as it relates to HRM, we also have courses that are in labor, that are in cooperative studies, that are in occupational safety and health within our curriculum. So that helps our students to have, and individuals to have, a more holistic appreciation as to how all these pieces fit together within the HR sphere. Mhm. So let's talk now about some of the levels that we have. So of course we have the introductory and 10 Saturday courses. And if you notice, these courses are designed for participants to develop their understanding of the subject area. So some people who may have been out of the learning area for a while, or they say, well, all right, I want to understand this area a little bit more. So within the HRM program, you can pursue an introduction to human resource management, an introduction to events management, or introduction to supervisory management. Within the introductory and 10 Saturdays, it's 40 contact hours. So you have 4 hours a class, 10 classes. Yes. So then we also look at the certificate and the diploma levels. Both of them are 1 year, one academic year in duration, so 2 semesters. If you notice, they are 18 credits each, so whether the certificate or the diploma, and 3 classes per semester. So what I would also say, though, in terms of certificates, There are those people who are getting, they've been out of the system as well, and they want to get a little more information, or they would have started at the introductory and they said, okay, I want to learn a little bit more. So the certificate would definitely be for you. In terms of the diploma classes, we look at those who are more specialized within the workforce, so that helps in terms of HR practitioners or people who are within the workforce particular time to get a better understanding and a better application of theory and so forth. In addition, we have the snapshot of the associate and the bachelor's in HRM. So you have the associate degree, which is 64 credits, which is either 2 years at a full-time capacity or 3 years at a part-time capacity, along with a bachelor's degree, which is 117 credits, 3.5 years full-time, 4.5 years part-time. What we look at in terms of some of the careers that are in the HRM realm. So you have the HR manager, who you normally would run the entire HRM department. You may have someone who is an HR generalist who has knowledge of most of the areas pertaining to HR, whether it's compensation, performance, training, talent, etc. You may have someone who is a specialist, because you may find that, all right, I may have done all within HR, but I have found that I have an affinity towards compensation or towards diversity, equity, and inclusion. So based off that, I have those specific skills that I continue to maneuver and work forward in that realm. So that specialist lends to that. You have the HR officer that would assist the HR manager, specialist with various operational activities. And of course, you can be a lecturer in academia as well. So you're sharing the knowledge through the teaching. See, these are just some, because of course, as times have continued and we continue to change and evolve, so in terms of wellness, persons who deal with wellness and all those different things, and mental health, well-being. So many things. And, as we continue to evolve too, it may even be that maybe some of you may even decide to be a specialist in certain areas that you may not have even thought of, because that has happened as well. So just remember that HR is a field that continuously empowers, because so many things happen. We continuously improve, we try to evolve, we have to adapt, we have to continue to be resilient, and that continues to be the change within that regard. And wouldn't you want to be part of something that gives you the opportunity to develop and empower people to be better personally and professionally? So that is what I am looking at. So in that regard, I would want to thank you thus far, and let's have some questions. I understand my system is not being as cooperative because I'm seeing it here. So let me stop presenting. So tell me, what do we have? What's happening? So I'm Looking to see in terms of what may be possible questions. All right, so I'm seeing that there's a question from Andrea. So, will there be any final examinations for courses within the BA HRM, or is it 100% coursework for all courses? Would I be required to come CCLCS for any assessments during the degree? So based off of that, we have a combination in terms of coursework and assessment. So it's not 100% coursework. But what I encourage you to note is that no matter what, you are responsible for contributing and working hard towards making your grade a reality. You know, that is the I always like to say that, whether it is you are from a group perspective, because sometimes you will have group um, scenarios and situations, you will have individual assignments, group presentations, those kinds of things. So what you have to do, no matter whether it's from the coursework assessment or the assessment perspective, is to always be ready, be willing to work hard, be willing to contribute, be willing to cite properly, you know, and it will work very well for you. Of course, if it is in terms of the assessments, there may be times that may have to happen, but if it is, you will be notified very well in advance. Looking again. What are some of the organizations students are placed for in the internship in the BAHRM? It we have had a variety, many of our organizations, so they have ranged from Caribbean Airlines to so both public, private, and what we have found as well, sometimes we have had our own students who, because they have been working so well within their organizations, you know, their own HR departments have been willing to have them and focus and let them participate in the internship there. But we also do find persons and organizations based on your requirements and what may be necessary. So, of course, that would be as time progresses in terms of being able to share that. Okay. I mean, but I really want you all to think about it for all those people there who might be saying, okay, I'm not sure if this is the right thing for me right now to start back learning, to start back developing. And I say, there's no better time than now. There's no better time than now. So I would want to encourage you to take the first step, because then once you take the first step, you can go forward with the rest. We are here to guide, we are here to support, and those kinds of things. Right? So, as an administrative secretary, this is from Cindy, who has an interest in HRM, what level would you recommend? So you do have some qualifications from another institution. And what I would say is this too, based on the type of certification you may have, because you may have a short course certification that may be for 2 months or 3 months and those kinds of things. So, and based on the amount of years that you've been administrative secretary, I would also want to say it depends on what you are looking for, um, in terms of what your aspirations and what your goals are. So I wouldn't want to just choose something for you, because based on that alone, you have several considerations. So, I mean, of course, I would suggest that you feel free to um, email me and give a contact. We could discuss further. But what I would say is this, sometimes I may say the associate may be a great thing for you to pursue based on where you are and what you may want to do. I may also say, if it is that you are looking for something a little more short term based on years experience and what you may have been doing, I may then say the diploma. So again, there are different variables, but I would lend anywhere between the diploma, the associate, or the bachelor's based on what you want to do. But as I said, um, reach out and we can definitely determine what may be best fit for you. I hope that answers your question. So I'm going through, I'm looking. Any other questions that I'm looking for to see? Yes. Of course, I'm not seeing any other questions. It seems so something may be happening again. Okay, wonderful. So, I mean, you may not have questions at this moment, but I encourage you to reach out to Bridgewater M at cclcs.edu.tt. Um, And of course, I would like to thank you for your indulgence, for whatever questions that you may have shared and put forward. And of course, I encourage you to look throughout the rest of the week as we continue to do our Q&As on our online programs. So again, I want to thank you for being so patient. Oh, you see? So I'm looking in terms of question coming in here as well. What are the payment terms? Is there a particular program that you are speaking to? So in terms of it, our finance department is very much willing to assist if it is you may not necessarily be as financially ready. So they would have the relevant plans in place for you. So again, reach out to me, send me an email, and I would also let them get into contact with you. So once again, I want to thank you for your indulgence. Um, I trust that I have been helpful, and as I said, feel free to reach out. And we continue on the stream for this session in terms of the Q&A online. And I want to thank you for being here. And I give you all, I want to give you all the blessings of staying safe, continuing to going through our journey, you know, and remembering that each person has his or her individual journey. And don't compare yourself to others. And I like to say that even in terms of the learning aspects that we may have, because somebody may say, okay, but I feel as though I should be here or I should not be here. But we have to also remember, and particularly within the field of HR, that life happens. Many times we have a plan and life has happened. So it derails our plans. And it doesn't make you any less of a person. It doesn't make you any less as to how you feel you should have been where you should have been. You take it in stride, we regroup, and that's why we continue to talk about being able to adapt, being able to be resilient, and we work through it. Yes, we work through it. Because, and I will use an example. I had a student, and I asked for permission to share this as well, and started very well in terms of plans and things that were happening. But then coming down to almost the final year of the program, the children were setting C. So, and she needed to make sure that they were in focus and they were engaged. So she took some time off and those kinds of things. But she felt so troubled because, as she said, I would have wanted to be at this point in time. And I told her, I said, look, it will be back here for when you return. You have to focus on your children right now in terms of their priority, because you know to yourself as well that you may not feel the best. And surely enough, children did the C. They passed for their choices, and she came back rearing and ripping to go. And she said, even though it was that semester off, she was able to come back, regroup, feel better about her choice. And that is why I say everybody's journey is different. We are all going through different things, whether it's taking care of an elderly person, whether it's taking care of young children, whether in terms of our job scenarios and situations. So we see that, we note that, we acknowledge that, and we just have to all try to help each other as best as we can and try to be as good to each other as we can as well. Yes. So, of course, on that note, once again, I thank you, and give me a line, send me an email. And of course, as well, I want to thank you for indulging with me with through the little technical difficulties too. But I trust that you were able to still hear me clearly and the message was still able to come across. So, of course, I thank you. And as I say, once again, Melissa Bridgewater, Program Dean for HRM at Cipriani College of Labor and Cooperative Studies. And have a great day and be safe. Take care.